It's on the agenda next time too. This is we have to cover everything.
There's the chief of police.
Meeting to order of the City of Atwater City Council on September 22nd, 2014 at 6:03. And I do thank everyone who's in attendance tonight. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilman Jeff Rivero. Please remain standing for the invocation.
May we pray. Heavenly Father, inspire us today with the qualities of good leadership. Give us insight, make wise decisions, integrity to face the truth, courage to make difficult choices, and compassion for the needs of others. And let us never forget that our job is to serve both you and others. For it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated. Roll call.
Bergman,
Here.
Mooneyham,
Here.
Jeff Rivero,
Here.
Joe Rivero is absent. Fall,
Here.
we have a quorum.
Mayor or Deputy City Attorney's report out from closed session. No reportable action was taken. Staff was given direction. Approval of the agenda as posted or as amended. Is there any council persons who wish to remove an agenda item or change the order of the agenda? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Bergman.
Second.
Seconded by Mooneyham. Any further discussion? Call for the question.
Bergman,
Yes.
Mooneyham,
Yes.
Jeff Rivero,
Yes.
Fall,
Yes.
motion carries.
Ceremonial matters. This is a great day for us, and we really are very honored. And we have all these wonderful young people with their parents out to help us celebrate the dedication of the Junior Giants Week. We are establishing the first day of June through the 7th day of June, and is annually as the Junior Giant Week in the city of Atwater. And I'd like to have all the junior giants come up. I'd like to have the parents come up. I'd like to have Mr. Hammer come up and the representative from the Giants organization come up. Please come forward. And Councilman Jeff Rivero. I would just like to thank all of you wonderful people for coming today to make this, honor this special occasion that we have. And if the young lady from the Giants organization would please come over here, we would appreciate it. And I'm going to give this to Councilman Jeff Rivero, because he's the one who suggested the week of, for the Junior Giants Week. And I can't think of a better week because of such a wonderful, it represents so many people and adults as well as young people. So we just want to thank you very much. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to, and you're going to have to introduce yourself, please.
Okay. My name is Nicole Kachatorian, and I am the Junior Giants Coordinator from the San Francisco Giants. For those of you who don't know what Junior Giants is a free baseball program for boys and girls across California and a little bit into Nevada, a little bit into Oregon. We have 90 leagues and over 22,000 kids playing. And Atwater is one of those 90 leagues. This year alone, Atwater Junior Giants served over 400 kids who might not otherwise have the opportunity to play baseball. But more importantly than baseball, we try to teach life lessons. So while Junior Giants are playing throughout the summer, they're also learning important lessons in education, health, bullying prevention, and then just how to live productive, healthy lifestyles. And so I want to say a big thank you to Jeff Hammer, who is the commissioner for the Junior Giants League and who I work most closely with. And I know he depends on a dedicated group of volunteers. I know there was probably over 100 volunteers that were present this year, and we're only as strong as the people that we have in the communities to run our program. And so Jeff has a really great committee behind him, and we also want to thank the POW board for being good stewards of our program here in Atwater, and also obviously thanks to all the kids that participate and the City Council's recognition. So thank you.
On behalf of the City of Atwater, we'd like to give the certificate of recognition to Junior Giants Baseball Organization for their outstanding commitment and dedication to the children of Atwater. The Atwater City Council has proclaimed the first day of June through the 7th day of June annually as the Junior Giants Week in the City of Atwater. You guys have probably touched the lives of at least over 10,000 of our children every year. It's been 13 years plus that you've helped out our kids. It's been an excellent program for our kids to get in. Each week, I know because I've coached, we give the kids a lesson about eating healthy, about not bullying. So you guys have really done an outstanding job in our community working with PAL and our kids and our coaches and everyone else to provide them with such a great service. And if there's any way possible, I was able to attend your reading festival, and that was great that the kids went to the AT&T Park. They got to play down on the field. You gave them a goodie bag full of things. It's just amazing. So if you could tell everyone back in San Francisco that was a great event, and we hope to do it again, and we hope to have Junior Giants again next year.
We don't hope, Mr. Councilman Jeff Rivero, there will be a Junior Giants program next year, because I know Mr. Hammer will make sure that it happens, and if it doesn't happen, Ms. Fall will be behind, so we'll make sure that it continues on. We just felt that this was another way of making sure that it would be an annual event for Junior Giants in recognition of the outstanding service that you do give to our community. Would you please give these wonderful people a round of applause? Mr. Jeff Hammer, would you like to speak?
One thing I've always said is that the Junior Giants Community Fund makes Christmas happen in June, July, August, for a lot of kids that don't get the chance to play. And they develop the confidence that actually feeds into Atwater Youth Baseball and Little League. They develop those skills, and the Community Fund and San Francisco Giants, they give us the toolbox to work with. I've got an outstanding committee behind me with a great group of repeating players that make baseball dreams come true. So thank you so much, Nicole, and the Community Fund for all you do for Atwater.
And when you hear them advertising about the Junior Giants on the radio in the morning, they're requesting donations, remember, it comes right down to our community. So it's a wonderful organization, and they are helping our youth. And parents, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to bring your young people so that we could recognize them and recognize the wonderful representative from the Giants organization. Thank you so much. Job well done. Again, thanks to the Junior Giants organization and all of their sponsors and their parents and their coaches and the young people themselves. We really appreciate them coming and participating tonight. Presentations. Verbal update. Verbal update from Merced County Economic Development Department regarding lead generation and marketing activities. Mark Hendrickson and Robert Lung.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, good evening. It is certainly a privilege to be here, and I greatly appreciate the opportunity that has been extended to both Robert and I to give you hopefully a very good little presentation as to the economic development activity that you are very much a part of. And actually, that's actually where I would like to start. I'd actually like to start with a sincere thanks to both Mr. Petro as well as to your Community Development Director, Mr. McBride, for their consistent and steadfast effort with regard to all matters economic development in this community. It has been a privilege over the course of the past several years, in particular, to work with Scott, who has been a tremendous partner. We're going to talk about that tonight and show the council some of the good work that's being done throughout the county, again, of which your city is very much part and parcel too. Tonight, our presentation is really about working together, and this is take a little step back for half a second. This council may very well remember that not too long ago there was a former Economic Development Corporation referred to as McKedco, which no longer exists. And as a result of that, there was a very significant hole that needed to be filled. The cities in the county got together and figured out, what can we do? How do we respond? How do we compete more effectively in a world post not having an Economic Development Corporation? The county was asked by the cities to step up in a facilitative leadership role. And as a result of that, and working tandem with the cities, we're doing things different, and I would argue better than we ever have before. This first slide, really want to talk a little bit about this, and you may very well know some of this already. We are really at the point of having the ball at the goal line of getting our comprehensive economic development strategy update done. That's just a fancy code word for if you don't have a series of projects listed on a list, you are not going to be eligible for federal funding. So the cities and the county have been working on this for about a year or so. That's going to put us into a competitive position for future economic development grants down the road. Again, really have to credit the work that Mr. McBride has done in that respect. And again, we are, if all goes right, we are taking a look at probably, I think, November for adoption, which at that point will be sent on to the Economic Development Administration. Again, making your city and each of the cities throughout the county and the county of Merced eligible for federal economic development funding. Typically, infrastructure projects, those types of things, which make it possible for economic development to take place. One of the things as it relates to the SEDS update, again, the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy update, is it really required us to develop, again, that structure. How are we going to operate? Who's going to do what? And as a part of that, we've been able to actually work with the private sector so as to identify our strengths and weaknesses, and so on. And we're going to talk about some of that tonight to actually go through some of our goals and objectives, some of our strategic actions that we are going to be moving forward with in the days ahead. The organizational structure, again, I want to make it very clear, the county is in a facilitative leadership role. You know, our role is not to supplant the good work that's being done in the city of Atwater, it's to supplement or to support the good work that's being done. And so as a result of that, I want to make it also equally clear that in order for us to find success from an economic development standpoint, that is not going to be done with government. Government needs to serve in a facilitative role, but we need to have the right people around the table. We're going to talk about that tonight, but that certainly does include each of the 6 city partners, the county, Merced, our respective utilities, our educational institutions, et cetera, et cetera. Everybody has a piece of the puzzle. In terms of our partners, and I think this is if nothing else, a good slide, and I want to start with this. Government does not create jobs, not a single one. The private sector creates jobs. Government, however, can create an environment in which the private sector can find success. Workforce investment, very, very important. We're actually going to present to you some statistics from our Department of Workforce Investment tonight that will actually illustrate the magnitude of the work that they do, again, trying to train the workforce of tomorrow. Educational institutions, cannot underscore this enough. This is not only UC Merced College, it's also our high schools and gets down to our youth. We've got to have education at the table. If we are not preparing our kids for the jobs of tomorrow, we're going to continue to have the jobs of yesterday. Community-based organizations, again, it's not just the utilities, it's also having our nonprofit community with us at the table as well. And then, again, as I mentioned earlier, government doesn't create jobs. Anybody that says government creates jobs, it's simply not the case. Government creates an environment in which the private sector can find success. We, as a part of this effort, and this was undertaken, the county hired a consultant that has actually done a lot of work with a lot of our cities, may have even had work here with this city years ago, and worked with a corporate site selector, again, to help us kind of fine-tune who we are, what we're doing, where we can be more successful. And we identified as a part of this process 3 key goals that we're going to talk about here in a second. To grow our economy, we want to be more competitive, and again, going back to the workforce development issue, we have got to do better with regard to developing our talent for the future. Growing our economy, again, it actually begins with actually creating that county-wide team. That we can be more focused on being responsive to leads, which we'll talk about later tonight. But again, we need to be responding at the speed of business, and I'll be speaking in greater depth on that. But you know, since January 1, we have now responded to 35 leads, which we'll talk about what a lead is in a bit, but that's about 3 times the number that McKedco would typically do over a multi-year period of time. So thanks to the work of your staff and the work of the other staffs throughout the county, we're actually, you know, you can't win if you don't compete, so at least we're competing. And in baseball terms, for a few of us who love the game of baseball, we're often looking for that walk-off home run. And there's truth to that. But there's a lot of value in trying to score via a bunch of hits and just walks and hits and scoring some runs to gain some momentum. And I really want to leave you with that impression, because again, we all want the 1,500 jobs that are to come with this or that, but the lifeblood of our community are going to be small business, and we're going to actually show you a slide tonight that actually shows that. Developing our talent. I'm so proud of the work that our Department of Workforce Investment is doing in tandem with, again, your city and our other respective city partners. We're going to talk about some of their actual mission, but again, for Merced County to be successful in trying to compete for the jobs of tomorrow, we've got to have that trained workforce. That was clearly a goal, and this is actually their vision. Which again, I'll just read it. This is from their organization, which is to keep pace with the new growth in the emerging economy and the ever-growth, the emerging economy, and the ever-changing needs of the changing needs of the employers by creating a better educated, highly skilled workforce that's capable of prepared and thoroughly knowledgeable. Again, very, very important for us to be ready for tomorrow. And this is an organization that does a lot of different things. Again, as you have people who are either looking for work, looking to gain new skills, or looking to transition from one type of employment to another, this is what this organization does. When Scott and your team is trying to provide a response to a lead, we are often asked the question, well, what are you going to do to train prospective employees? That's what these folks do. So they do everything along that line. That's fine. And this is I don't know if you can see it very, very well. It looks like it's a little scattered here on the left-hand side here. But just to put it in perspective, these are the most recent numbers. They touched almost 49,000 people in the last reporting year throughout the county of Merced. And so as a part of that, but there's one thing I want to point out in particular, which is right in the middle. Obviously the loss of AT&T was a huge loss for our community. I can tell you firsthand, being responsible for the development of Castle, a huge loss for us, because last year was the first year in Castle's post-closure history that we actually were operating in the black. And so all the gains that we were made, 17 new leases last year, our job growth was about 15% more than the previous year. The loss of AT&T was a huge loss, but I will tell you, Workforce Investment conducted, I think it was 11 workshops for their employees over a couple months period of time. I'm going to turn it over to Robert here for a second. Robert, as just by way of a brief introduction, I was very, very lucky. Robert serves as my Deputy Director for Economic Development. I have a multi-pronged department where I'm responsible for both land use and economic development, and Robert's been doing a good job in that respect. And one of the things that he's been successful with very early on in his tenure here is established a contract with the Small Business Development Center, which he'll talk about here now.
Thank you. As Mark mentioned, we went into contract with the SBDC just in July, and it's kind of exciting. It offers every business within our county, city, unincorporated, it doesn't matter, free business counseling, free of charge. Also helps with looking for financing, business plans. Really exciting. Just all they have to do is give them a call and they get this service. But the neat part, since July only, we've already referred 8 different businesses for business plans. So it's kind of, we're starting to see some action taking place. Revolving loan fund, I know it says 4. They're currently helping 4 businesses work on their revolving loan fund applications. Today we just had a 5th, so that number is a little outdated, but you can see that. They also have quite a few workshops for business startups. They have 5 upcoming, and they also show one with capital, how to find financing for your business as well. It's all free of charge for Merced County businesses as well, which is really nice. They also do offer Spanish-speaking workshops, and they have flyers and material in both English and Spanish, so we can reach out to the communities that need that as well. And so it's something that's very exciting for us, and we're continuing to grow that partnership with the SBDC. I'll continue on into the enhancing our competitiveness. One of the things that we're working on is trying to rebrand who we are. A lot of people don't know what we have right in our backyard. We have the world's largest winery in our backyard. In Gallo, we have Hillmar Cheese, produces the most cheese in the world, sitting right here. Most people don't see that, so we're focused on trying to rebrand ourselves, become location ready. We're also launching a complete new, revamped marketing and branding. And as you can see,
Can I jump in here real quick? Just real quick on this branding piece. This, Atwater's home for me. This is where I was raised. This is where I went to school. This is where I have a lot of pride. I will tell you, this council, which you've heard me on a few occasions, this should come as no surprise. Merced County and this community have much to be proud of. There are a lot of people in this community that tend to be naysayers. I will tell you this, we have good schools, we have good teachers, we have good people every single day that are doing work for the betterment of this community. When it comes to economic development, the very first thing, and we're going to talk about this here in a second with regard to site selectors, that site selectors will do when they're evaluating a community is they read the local newspaper, they read what people are thinking, they read what people are saying. We need to all be a part of that effort so as to brand and market our community effectively so that we can give people a reason to come to our community and grow and develop.
So as you can see, we're working currently on trying to revamp a website, and this will be a comprehensive website for all the cities, just the one partnership. We're working on different brochures. As we respond to leads, there's pitch packets that we're currently working on and we have, which contain about 1,200 data points. A lot of people don't realize that when a site selector is looking, they want the most granular information about your community, and you have to give it to them up front. We don't have a whole lot of time for them to research themselves. They'll move on to the next community. So we've gathered all this data, and as we're responding to leads, we're providing this. But part of providing it is also providing it in an aesthetic way that is going to help draw them to our community as well. And so you'll see some of that as we move forward as well. This is kind of what we're looking for. We're wide open for business, and getting business done here is about as easy as 1, 2, 3, and that's kind of the branding as we're continuing to go with.
So as we kind of transition here in the presentation, what does all this mean? This means we've got an opportunity. It means we've got an opportunity to do things better and differently. And this as it relates to simple things. What is a lead? A lot of people don't, we say that in the economic development world, leads come from different sources. It may one day come from the governor's office, may one day come from the California Central Valley Economic Development Corporation. It may come directly from a site selector. It may come from a trade show that we attend. Leads come from a variety of different places, and more often than not, they are absolutely confidential. One of the things that we are trying to do, and again, as I referenced earlier in my presentation, we've now responded to 35 leads since January 1. That's a good thing, but we've got continued work to do. And it begins typically, and again, you can't see it very, very clearly up here on screen, but typically, just as an example, we'll get a lead from the governor's office, and we, at the very moment in time, will ship a note to Mr. McBride, and typically within a very short amount of time, we'll have an idea as to whether or not there is a site in the community. And typically, leads are fairly generic. It may be something as simple as you've got, we need 50,000 square feet of space located next to a rail spur, but you typically won't know who the user is or what the business is trying to do. You may know, the type of zoning, et cetera, but for the most part, it's fairly vague. And so what we have been able to do just over the course of the last year, and this is where I have to give a lot of credit to Robert, we now have technology in place that we didn't have before. We now have the ability to type those parameters into a software package that we bought into that will literally spit out every single site within the county of Merced that would fit the profile that the private sector is looking for. Again, our goal is to be more responsive, speedier, to meet their expectations, so we can actually identify those potential properties that perhaps we're aware of, but perhaps, to be honest, those that we're not aware of that may be listed from a local realtor. As Robert had talked about, and this is something I'm really, really proud of, when you respond to a lead, you're trying to differentiate yourself from your competitors. Now, I'll give you a good example of that. We have this pitch packet which has an incredible amount of data included within it that typically are those things that site selectors are looking for. And again, I think we have this in the presentation, but for you, and Mr. McBride has probably articulated this many times before, a site selector's job is not to include you for consideration. A site selector's job is to exclude us from consideration. Their job is to eliminate you so they can give their client potential options. A lot of people don't view it that way, but they will tell you themselves that's the way that they do it. So what we've got to do is we've got to make sure they've got all the information. So we've got all their points of contact, we've got all the various state and local incentives that would be meaningful to them. We try to identify how we fit into the economy. We are trying to show in many cases, they want to know what's your proximity to local logistical markets, and so we provide that data, seaports, air, rail, which is a strength of our community. They want to know information about our demographics, et cetera, et cetera. We get into, again, how do we fit into the state economy, the regional economy? Again, how can we separate ourselves from everybody else? As you can see right there in the middle, go back one, we are suggesting that, as a business, you belong here in Merced County. The state of California is arguably the most difficult state from which to do business. We want to be the most apt place from which to do business in the state of California. We get it down to, what people make by industry type. And so we've got a lot of data that is meaningful for a site selector. They want to know about, education. Who, their employees, where are they going to go to school? Where are they going to send their kids? Where are they going to find their employees? And then we get down as far as, we've got every single, regionally, every single degree that has been conferred over a period of time. Again, trying to show business, these are the type of people that we've got in our backyard. And then again, they're often looking for who are our existing large employers. And so we've got that data for them as well. And again, going back to a point I made earlier in the presentation, the lifeblood of our community is small business. 98% of our businesses throughout Merced County have fewer than 100 employees. That's the bread and butter for this community. That's something we should be very proud of. Again, going back to points earlier, site selection, again, is a process of elimination. Their job is not to include us for consideration. Their job is to exclude us from consideration. Typically, they start with a long list of regions. They narrow it down to perhaps a favorable region. They shortlist a number of sites. They identify a location, and the next thing you know is they build it. That's basically Economic Development 101 in a nutshell. And that's where we are trying to put our best foot forward to compete, and we're competing at a faster clip than ever before. So where are we today? We are on the cusp of having our SEDS updated and adopted, again, making us eligible for economic development funding at the federal level. And that's across the board, whether it's the city or the county or each of the other cities throughout Merced County. We are working with your team to actually formalize through a memorandum of understanding that facilitative leadership role where we're continuing to hopefully work in tandem with you in the days ahead. We are moving forward with the marketing tools that Robert talked about in part of his presentation with regard to branding us differently through websites, et cetera, et cetera. We talked about that Economic Development Action Plan, those 3 core goals that we had that we're going to be working towards. And something that I think is very, very important is not only are we trying to grow and expand our economy, we need to retain the existing business that we have. And you can do that, and you can do that successfully, I believe, through actually greater outreach, and we're doing that through a business visitation program, actually meeting with folks. And this is something where, again, you should be very proud of your staff. Over the past, through September, we as an organization have now gone on 9 different broker missions and events, had just shy of about 1,500 face-to-face contacts, a trade show, 35 qualified leads, and that's as recent as last week, I suspect. We are working at a faster clip than ever before. And while unemployment remains too high, and then we all know that that's the fact, the reality is unemployment is down as compared to this time last year. This is, as we kind of bring it to a close, as my organization has kind of transitioned over the last few years. In years past, I was primarily just the county's economic development guy, and then I was asked to come in and lead the land use effort for the county. And we've now integrated both of those functions, again, to streamline permitting, to make things quicker, et cetera, et cetera. One thing that, and I want to read, I won't read the whole slide, but I want to read the vision that we have crafted for my organization, which I believe dovetails nicely into the presentation tonight. My organization, we're striving to work at the speed of business. My organization will build our community by delivering superior customer service through proactive engagement, innovation, and creative solutions. With that being said, that's what we're hoping to do. And with your help and with the continued help of your staff and the good work of your staff, I am very confident that we will get there. I believe that's it. So with all the pieces of the puzzle are put together, that's economic development in a nutshell. I would be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. But again, I would be remiss if I didn't express my sincere appreciation to each one of you and your staff. So, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hendrickson, for your presentation. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem Mooneyham.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank you, Mark, for coming here. Very informative. Merced County, for quite some time, had a reputation of being very difficult to work with, very difficult to gain entitlements and actually build. And in the past few years, including this presentation here today, you can see that it's moving in the other direction, and I appreciate your efforts.
Mayor Pro Tem, thank you, sir.
Councilman Jeff Rivero.
I also would like to thank Mark for a wonderful job that you've done out at the castle, the old castle base. The improvements that you've made, it doesn't; those jobs don't help us out tax basis wise, but in the long run it does, because people that live in Atwater work out there and they shop in Atwater. So we appreciate everything that you've done to improve the old base, and it's helped the city of Atwater. So thank you very much.
Councilman, thank you. You know, Castle, obviously this is where I was raised. My dad was stationed at Castle. Castle is a unique place with tremendous promise and potential. Today we have about 70 tenants out of Castle, and obviously the loss of AT&T was fairly significant. But one of the I've received, I can't tell you how many phone calls over the last couple months upon AT&T's departure. And I can tell you firsthand that we are going back to a lead that was received. We are actually competing with about 20 different sites around the country for a call center or two that would essentially restore the jobs that were lost. Again, when you're at least we're in the game, we're competing. Of also a particular note, and this was pretty well reported. We were, depending upon whose account, the last remaining site in California for the Tesla development. Now, granted, we weren't successful. That was largely because the state of Nevada offered about $125 billion worth of incentives. But the fact is when you are, when Atwater or Merced County was being mentioned with Reno and Arlington, Texas, and a few other sites in New Mexico, essentially in the top 5, that, although we were not successful, I can tell you that within a week we had multiple phone calls from other potential manufacturers who saw the fact that we put our best foot forward, and perhaps we will turn that into a successful failure. So thank you, sir.
Any other council persons who wish to speak? On behalf of this council and the city, I just wish you well, and I know that this is a major thing that we would like to have you continue to do, so I think we'd like to sit down with you and kind of strategize what we in the city of Atwater can do, because we have to be partners, we have to work together with Castle Air Force, with everyone, the Economic Development Group, and with Mr. McBride. We all have to work together in order to attract positiveness
Could not agree
and
more.
jobs.
Yes, ma'am.
So so please keep working with us, because we want to work with you.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
So on behalf of the council, we thank you very much for coming and for your presentation.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Yes, ma'am.
Next, comments from the public?
At this time, any person may comment on any item which is not on the agenda. Please state your name and address for the record. Action will not be taken on an item that is not on the agenda. If it requires action, it will be referred to staff and/or placed on a future agenda. To comment on an item that is on the agenda, please wait until the item is read for consideration. Please limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes.
Adam Reed, 1520 Fruitland. Earlier this year, the council adopted water restrictions for sprinklers or irrigation, and since school's gone back into session, I pick up my son from Elmerwood School, and I notice on a daily basis that they are flooding all their landscape areas. It goes into the sidewalk, it runs down the gutter all the way down to almost the Save Mart into the catch basin there. And I don't know if this is the only site that does it, but it does happen on a daily basis. So I don't know if there's some dialogue you guys can get into with the district and help, because I know the high school has their own well, but I see backflow preventers and stuff out in front of the school, so I think they're on city water. So I know they're categorically exempt from some things, but I don't know if water is one of them. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Mike Akers, 2770 Dutra Court, in here in Atwater. On a positive note here, I'm here to, on behalf of my family, on September the 7th, my father-in-law passed away on Harness Way in Jacobs Ranch, and Atwater PD officer responded. A young officer by the name of Matt Vieira. Being a law enforcement man myself, those things are never fun to go to. Mr. Vieira was extremely kind to my father-in-law's 87-year-old wife and our family. He was a very polite, very compassionate, very fine representation of Chief Petro and the city of Atwater. Being that I've lived in Atwater for 50 years and been in law enforcement here for longer than I probably should say, but he was a very fine guy. We don't have a lot of positive comments about law enforcement, but I could have talked to Chief Petro and told him, but I thought the council would like to hear this, that he represented the city extremely well, and my family wished me to present that to the council. So thank you for your officer, and help you pass it on to him that he did a good job, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Akers. Appreciate it. We all appreciate his positive comments.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, City Council members, ladies and gentlemen. Jim Price, 3467 Village Woods. Just wanted to thank all the participants this last Thursday for a good debate that we had at the Memorial Hall, 5th and Broadway, and to remind the public that this October 1st, we will have the League of Women Voters debate here at the City Council chambers, and hopefully everybody will come with their questions, and hopefully we can all share in a very lively and spirited debate so that everybody can make a very well-informed decision when it comes November 4th. Very important election this year on a lot of different levels, and I just want to remind the public again of that. League of Women Voters on October 1st, 6 p.m. Thanks.
Thank you.
My name is Dave Marks. I live at 717 Nicholas Court. I got on my computer the other day and I was reading a report in the Merced Sun-Star that this city is operating at a 266% deficit. All I see is my water, sewer, and garbage always going up and up and up. Somebody is misusing public funds. And according to a source, which I cannot quote right now, you got $2.2 million in uncollected fees for businesses. Come on, people. Grow a set. Let's go. Do something. Thank you.
Thank you.
Eric Lee, 1199 Atwater Boulevard. There's been some discussion on our website, some of it negative, some of it positive. I've usually used the website to pull up agenda meetings and other informational pieces that I need for these meetings and other meetings that I attend, and I really haven't gotten into that site. And once I did, I started finding out there's quite a bit of information on our website. Does it need to be tweaked a little bit? Certainly it does. Most of them do. But the website we have talks about the population of Atwater, talks about 2 of our high schools, Atwater High and Buhack Colony, our 8 elementary schools, our 1 private school, grades P through K through 8. Talks about being close to Merced College, UC Merced. Gives our location, major freeway 99, 2 major railroads. Talks about Castle Airport, how vital that is and how vital that's going to become. Talks about the Bloss House, senior citizen living areas, our industrial parks. Exceptional old-fashioned 4th of July celebration with fireworks. Also talks about something that I've always enjoyed, 2 hours from San Francisco, 2 hours to Monterey, Carmel, and Pacific Ocean, 2 hours or less to Yosemite National Park, and we have an 18-hole golf course. Of course, some of these times are a little bit less when you ride on a motorcycle, especially when you ride with Chief Petro. It also talks about our Castle Air Museum, gives 8 photos. Shows a picture of the B-52, the B-17, the B-25, our B-29, 135, Phantom, B-47, and probably the most prominent airplane out there because it's closest to the gate is the SR-71 Blackbird. The site also talks about the quality living in Atwater by showing 8 photos. Those photos are of Buhack Colony High School, showing the Olympic-sized pool. our senior citizen gated community, Schaefer Lakes Residential Homes, other gated residential areas, Atwater Civic Center, Ralston Park, which has over 80 acres of park and 80 acres of parks within the city. The Bloss House shows our local history, and the Atwater High Falcon Field, which has the composition track and the composition field that they play on. When you look at all of these, it actually is a pretty detailed site, and I think it gives a pretty good picture of how life is in Atwater. Do we need to make some changes? Yes, we do. But I don't think it's something that needs to be completely
Mr. Reed,
trashed.
please.
Okay, thank you.
30 seconds. Thank you.
Hi, Judy Bowling, 137 Judy Drive, Atwater, California. Don't mean to be a naysayer, but get real. We went out, we campaigned to get this half a cent. And that was with the understanding that all sorts of things were going to happen. You guys were going to clean your act up, you're going to do what's right, you were going to stop the nonsense. Well, it didn't happen. I'm very pleased with these guys coming in. I hope that can happen. I hope something can be worked. I love Atwater. I love the police department, the whole thing, and the fire department. But the games that are being played are bunk, and they're going to come back to haunt people. Okay, so whenever we run to sit up there at the dais, including city clerk, anybody, okay, I understand that she's being paid like $279 a month and getting in lieu of. How many other people, again, we ask, are getting in lieu of? Now, that is an elected position, period. You're not supposed to be giving out insurance or money instead of, or whatever. I know it's a way to pay her for all she does. She does a heck of a lot, and I don't know how you guys could operate without her. But it's the point. It's the point that we're supposed to be open and honest and do all of these things. You guys haven't done it yet. You have not done it. You know, bad contracts, 2 bad contracts that we're going to have to live with for a long dang time. What's been done that's not going to happen again. And I can go on and on. But you get the gist. You still need to clean the stuff up. And another little thing, using the APOA and CAL FIRE in a political... Yes, that's right, Linda, Eric, that's what I'm doing. I'm bringing it up. First off, it's going to be the APOA and CAL FIRE go around and pass out handouts for 2 people running for office. Now it's turned into the APOA and CAL FIRE's union has paid for these flyers for 3 people. If you're going to do it for 3, then how about somebody pays for the other 2?
30 seconds.
And we'll just have them pass out all 5 and be fair. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
My name is Bob Calloway. My address is P.O. Box 1355, and that's where I live. Judy, I'm not sure where she got the information at all on the APOA and the CAL FIRE paying for all these items, and I need to correct her right now. Every sign that is coming out, every copy of papers that are being distributed has been paid for by the Fiscal Responsibility and Accountability Committee. There's been no money coming in to pay for these things, so I'm not sure where that information came from and how accurate it is. The gentleman sitting here to my immediate right had talked about $2 million. Was it business fees? Business fees. I'm not sure where that information came from either, but I was sure challenged that. I've gone over the last couple, 6 months, several audits, and there's no kind of money out there sitting that for $2 million being in the debit. Now, when our city manager and police chief came to work as a city manager back in 2012, I am sure that there was some deficits found in the way that we collected business fees. But since that time, the business peoples have been paying their fees on a monthly basis. There might be a few of them making payments, but they are in the process of paying. There is no $2 million, to my knowledge, after studying these audit reports. Now, where that information comes from, I don't know. Anybody that says that I cannot reveal the name of my source right now shouldn't even be discussing it. How are you going to face and answer something that there's no way of having an answer for it? And I know that by studying the audit, our city is far better off than what it was when the city manager took office. We've got a long ways to go, but at least we're working on it. The council and the staff and the community is assisting. And this negative crap that keeps coming out of this, some people, I just object to it wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Linda Dash, Atwater. I have to agree with Mr.
Could you give your
Oh.
address, please?
3153 Beach Drive, Atwater,
Thank you.
California.
Appreciate it.
95301.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I need to ask the people in the audience to please refrain from speaking when you're sitting in the audience. If you need to speak, please go out into the hallway.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When Mr. Petro was given this heavy task of taking over as city manager / police chief, he did have a huge, heavy load. And we were deeply in debt. And I know I sat for free and collected unpaid weed abatement bills. People that had weeds, we cut them down so it wouldn't cause a fire, then they didn't pay the bill. Those that didn't pay the bill is out of their tax base. Oh, he's gone. I think that was some wrong information. Maybe that information was a couple years old, or maybe somebody just wanted to kind of cause a little upheaval here, but this city staff has worked so hard getting us out of the red, and I think we have about $200,000 to the good in our general fund, not $2,000. So I just thank you folks for doing what you're doing, and if we can still volunteer, we'll do it. Thank you.
Thank
Bless
you. Is anyone else who wishes to come forward? You thank those persons who participated. Moving on to our next item on the agenda is consent calendar.
Background information has been provided on all matters listed under the consent calendar, and these items are considered to be routine. All items under the consent calendar are normally approved by one motion. If discussion is requested on any item, that item will be removed from the consent calendar for separate action.
Okay, council persons, is there any items that you wish to pull? Yes, Councilman Jeff Rivero.
I was going to have item number 5 pulled, and if you would, I don't want to pull number 6, but if you can make the announcement about when the Audit and Finance Committee meeting is changed, so that way we can announce it at our council meeting so that nobody shows up on the wrong day.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other council persons, or are there any other items you wish to have pulled? I'll entertain a motion to approve the remaining items except for item number 5.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Councilman Bergman. Seconded, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Jeff Rivero. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to comment on any of the items that are remaining? Items number 2, 3, 4, 6, and 7. Any persons who wish to comment? Seeing none, we'll call for the question on approving the consent calendar with the exception of item number 5.
Jeff Rivero,
Yes.
Mooneyham,
Yes.
Bergman,
Yes.
Fall.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, item number 5. I would assume that we would ask our Community Development Director, McBride.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members. This item is for your consideration tonight. This is the bid call to allow us to proceed with the CMAQ-funded project that's provide sidewalks for pedestrian access that's going to serve the neighborhood near Olive Avenue, Eileen Colburn School, and some of the side streets, as well as Mitchell Avenue. This is a project we've been working on for a couple of years. This is part of the process to take it to the next step. In your packet, there's information about the award from the state. But basically, tonight is the opportunity we have to allow us to go ahead and authorize this for advertising so we can get bids and then come back and have you award the contract to the successful bidder.
Okay. Councilman Jeff Rivera, did you have a question on this matter?
Yeah, I was just going to touch base with clarification, because the city manager and myself met with Mrs. Schreiber from the Atwater City Schools, and there was some concern she shared about putting in a lit crosswalk at Herman and Olive, and I wanted to check to see if this project covered that, and making sure that the lit crosswalk also had the flashing.
It's not included in this project. We'll have to do that separately.
So then can I ask the city manager to look into putting a speed sign, putting in a lit crosswalk and flashing signs by Herman and Olive?
Did we not, excuse me for interrupting, but city manager, did we not have this as a study that we were studying because someone brought up the fact of the three-way stop, so we had to get an engineering firm to get out and do the survey for the three-way stop?
No, we were actually waiting for this project to be completed, and then we were going to bring back a lighted crosswalk for that area. That's what we were waiting for.
So we do not have to deal with the three-way stop then? We can bring this back after this has been completed?
Correct, that's where we're waiting for.
Right. Because at the present time, if I'm not mistaken, that area does not have sidewalk on the opposite side of, is that correct or am I wrong? So the crosswalk goes into what we hope will be the new sidewalk, right?
I believe that's true. I think it's partially improved, some missing sections there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, City Manager. Any other questions in regards to item number 5?
So I was going to ask the city manager, is it possible for us to work on putting a lit crosswalk and signs at that crosswalk after the project is finished?
Right.
And then we
Yeah.
also have 2 schools, which, one school there on the Olive, which is Tabernacle. And might be a good idea to have the radar signs there by the schools. And if you wouldn't mind looking into it while you're at it, checking out the crosswalk at Fay and Winton Way, which has had 5 accidents in that one crosswalk alone.
We're kind of getting into 2 different areas here, and I think we have another area. These 2 items that you just brought up are also on our agenda. So let us stay with our agenda, please.
All right, I'll wait until the council members.
I have Mayor Pro Tem Mooneyham.
No, I'll withdraw that, Mayor. I was just going to say that it should be for discussion and possible action.
Right.
Right, okay.
So, okay, so right now, let's keep it to what is before us, and that is the approval of the pedestrian improvement project near Eileen Colburn School and Park project, item number 12-1. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve this item.
Second the motion.
Unfortunately, I didn't get the motion. I'll entertain a motion to approve this?
I'll make the motion then.
Okay. Motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Mooneyham. We'll call for the question. Thank you.
Mooneyham,
Yes.
Bergman,
Yes.
Jeff Rivero,
Yes.
Call.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Let me bring in the new time for the Audit and Finance Committee, and that will be it will be the second Monday of the month, since we are only meeting one time a month, and that's the second Monday of each month through April. The meeting will be the second Monday of each month at 3:30. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Okay, with that, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, and that is item number 8, Treasurer's Report for August 2014. City Treasurer Heller.
Good evening, Mayor and Councilman. Before you is the Treasury Report for August 31st.
Okay.
And
Do you have any highlights that you'd like to give us tonight, City Treasurer?
I am paying the bonds for the wastewater treatment plant at the end of October. The amount is $2,364.68. And I will give this to Jeffrey.
Thank you. And Mr. Heller, we are up to date on all of our bond service or bond debt payments. Is that correct?
Correct. This is the next round.
And it appears to me that we started off a beginning balance of $11,490,462.93, and we ended with what?
12 million.
12 what?
12 million.
12 million, Mr. Heller.
Yeah, we're getting up there.
That's right. We're going to make it. Councilman Jeff Rivero.
You're saying there's 12 million, and after we write out the 2 million, the bond, it should put it back to?
No, this is August.
Okay, so after we make the 2 million payment, and that one's?
That's not till October.
October? So when we make it in October?
Well, I have September bank balance coming.
Should still be around 10 million?
Yeah.
Because one of my questions is, and that's what I brought it up last time that we were talking about, the lease purchase of the vacuum truck, was what our balance was, and it's roughly $10 million after we make the bond payment. We're going to be adding $750,000 payments from both the water and garbage, which is nearly $1 million. The increase that's happening on the sewer for everybody's water bill is going up 2-point-some%, which works out to, and these are my estimates, roughly $100,000. So we're actually gaining 10 times or 7.5 times that from the water and garbage. So I had two questions: is why are we still increasing? Because I thought the 218 was done from 1.1 to 108. So
Sir, we're off the topic again.
I'd like to ask our city attorney.
Not part of this treasurer's report.
It's part of our finances, right? So I have a question about our finances. We went out to 218 and 1 of 08, and I thought of 218, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought 218 lasted for 5 years, which means that should have ended in 1/1/13. So to increase your rates, don't you have to go to another 218? Because that means over the last year and a half, we've been increasing, I believe the percentage is either 2.1 or 2.5%.
Okay, first of all, is this something that's in the treasurer's report? That this
No,
is
it
not
is-
even part of the
no, it
treasurer's
is
report,
not
right?
part of the
So if
treasurer's
you have a
report.
question about the Prop 218, are you talking about for the sewer or the water? Are you talking about the sewer?
Question to the treasurer is that our rates.
Sir, you're the
So
city
I'm trying to
attorney is-
respond to you because you're asking me. So my question for you is, if you're asking about the Prop 218 for, are you talking about the sewer rates or the water rates? The sewer?
The sewer.
So if you're asking about the Prop 218 and whether sewer rates are going to go up, I'm not sure that that's properly directed to the treasurer. And moreover, if you're asking about the legality of the Prop 218, that's something that you need to go through the city manager, and then we can look into whether there's something that, you know, should or should not be happening. And that's not something that the city treasurer is tasked with looking into, and I'm happy to help you through that process, but this is not the way to do it.
Trying to get clarification if it's going up, if the
Sir?
sewer is going up 2%, is that correct?
Sir, you're out of order. And the city attorney just finished telling you that that was not part of the treasurer's report, so that.
Well, let me just clarify if I could, Mayor. Is that part of your report, whether the 218 or whether the sewer rates are going up?
No.
No, do you know the answer to that question? Does the treasurer know the answer to the question? That's not part of your report, right? That's something separate. That's something that we need to do in a different time, a different, right. A different time, because this is not part of the treasurer's report and it's not on the agenda, so we're not going to go in there.
That's
I'm
correct.
happy to deal with that outside of this meeting.
Thank you. Okay, with that question answered, we will, if there's no more questions, City Manager Petro?
We can bring this back to the council on the next meeting in regards to a sewer report, Councilmember Brown.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, we'll entertain a motion to, if there's no other discussion on the treasurer's report, we'll entertain a move that we approve the treasurer's report for August 31st of 2014. It's my motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bergman. Call for the question.
Mooneyham,
Yes.
Bergman,
Yes.
Jeff Rivero,
With not all my questions answered, yes.
Fall.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Heller. Okay, next item on our agenda is the item number 9, the cooperative purchase and 5-year lease purchase of one new demo VACCon truck model, cleaning unit, water division manager, chief operator, Mr. Shaw. Mr. Shaw.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, City Council. Yes, I brought this back. Wanted some more numbers on what it would cost to refurbish the existing 32-year-old vac truck. I had a company come in that does this. The best they come up with, they gave me a letter, would be approximately $132,000. That's just approximately what they could come up with without getting to the shop. One of the other problems getting to the shop is 2,300 miles to the factory, if that is go there, which would cost $8,000 to $10,000 each way, because that truck, there's no way it could make it that distance. And we're, trying to find that. We are definitely in need of this truck. If our truck goes down, the newest truck we have right now, and we have a sewer backup, we have to go out to other cities to see if we can borrow their vac or to rod the lines, to suck out sewer wet wells, whatever it may be.
Councilman Bergman, pardon me for interrupting you. Councilman Bergman?
First of all, Brian, I want to thank you for bringing the numbers back. This is what I, was looking for the first time. And if you could, I think there's a little confusion on what this truck does. So if you could, you just touched on it, but if you could go a little more in depth as to actually what this unit does, I think that would answer some questions the public had.
Yes, the sewer lines all through town, where the collection, we collect into a sewer lift station. Well, as it leaves the residence, goes into our main lines, a lot of people, they still pouring their grease, stuff down their lines, and it eventually, just like an artery, it just plugs up. Eventually, you got sewer coming out of a manhole. So this is a rodder, uses high-pressure water that takes the water line down through the main and brings all that stuff back, and then we suck it out, take it out and dump it out of the treatment plant. And then at the sewer lift stations, You get a lot of garbage. You won't believe some of the stuff people throw down their toilets, sinks. They plug up the pumps. This thing has an 8-inch suck tube on it. We go to the wet wells and suck the wet wells out to get all that material out of there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Mooneyham?
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Shaw, how often would you say that you use the current truck? And how often would you say that it is in the shop for maintenance costs? I mean, we're looking at $365,000. That's a fairly tough number to substantiate.
Yes, we should be out in that truck every day, rodding the lines, so we don't have the sewer backups. The newest truck we have, the 2001, year before last, we did have it out every day almost, and we rodded all the lines through the whole city. We didn't have very many problems. The truck I'm trying to replace, it seems like every time we take it out, something happens to it. It blows a hydraulic line, it blows radiator hoses, something, just little minor things, but it just takes away from so much time for my guys. I got 2 guys out there standing around waiting for a mechanic to get there to fix some minor little thing.
And I'm sorry, please forgive me, I wasn't here last meeting, but this is a 1982, roughly, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
And what fund is this coming out of? I apologize. Is this the sewer fund?
Yes.
Is your capital set aside, or is this your?
Yes, we put money aside to lease one.
I think that probably the other thing is that if we spent this $135,000 on this vehicle, there are no warranties for this. Plus, it's still a used machine after we finish with the $135,000 that we invested. So that could go towards the first payment for sure, and part of the second. And the other thing that concerns me is the Air Quality Board and their approval of the old machine, because they are turning down and making people park their diesel vehicles because they're not meeting the Air Quality Board. And this machine will meet every air quality requirement that we have. Is that not correct, sir?
Yes, that is correct. And on top of that, the current vehicle we have, it has the main engine and it has an auxiliary engine. You have to run both those engines to run that piece of equipment. The new one, when you get to the site, you can shut the main engine off and you just run off the rear engine, which saves fuel, emissions.
So, plus, this thing is going to be warranty covered, right? So
Yes.
if we have a problem, we are covered by warranties.
Yes.
We have a problem now, we're only covered by our pocketbook. We
Correct.
have to pay for anything that is broken down now.
Yes.
So that's, and is there any other questions from the council before I open it up to the public? Now is the time if the public wishes to come forward and speak on this item, please come to the podium.
Eric Lee, 1199 Atwater Boulevard, Atwater. Brian, now when you've got 2 vehicles, because when you're out and you're evacuating mud out of a leaking valve in the street, you need the other vehicle to do the service calls on the sewage, correct? So that's why you have 2 trucks?
Yeah, well, what we do is we have the 2 vehicles, and when we got the new vehicle in 2001, we took the old one, the 82, and we were using it for mainly just water breaks. We kept the new one to do the rodding and the maintenance of the sewer system. Well, what we want to do is get the new one and put the 2001 in the water department and use that for the water breaks, because you don't want it. You want to get them cleaned up to where you don't use a sewer truck on a water leak. So you want to get it cleaned up and use that just for water, not sewer. So we split them.
And I'm not sure how many water leaks do you know off the top of your head? I probably shouldn't ask this, but how many water leaks did you fix? last year, or this year?
Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you, but
A lot.
I bet we're averaging about 4 a month.
Yeah. The reason I ask that, because in my particular area, that truck is there quite a bit, and I know it saves a lot of manpower, because they're able to go down and just suck out everything, expose the pipes they need to repair. I think that's, they do a good job with that.
Okay, any other comments from the public? We'll bring it back to the dais. Is there any further questions? Councilman Jeff Rivero?
Yeah, last time when this was brought to us, I believe it has stayed the same, that the way to purchase this is coming out of the sewer fund, $365,000.
Is that correct, sir?
And
Yes.
my issue back then was the money coming back into the sewer fund and trying to get clarification. It's not so much that I'm against the truck, but I'm wanting to know how much people are paying for, not just for this truck, but what's coming in on their sewer bill every month, and the additional money coming into the sewer from the loans that were made to it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion. I would like to move that we approve staff's recommendation as presented.
Second the motion.
Okay, seconded by Jeff Rivero. Is there any further discussion? Call for the question.
Bergman?
Yes.
Jeff Rivero? Yes. Mooneyham?
Yes.
Fall?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw, for all of your efforts and your extra time that you put in giving us those additional repair costs. Thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Shaw, you're still up because you are now moving to item number 10, verbal report regarding radar signs at school zones St. Anthony's and Landmark Tabernacle School.
Yes. I did some research. You know, we have a lot of them up at all the schools so far on Schaefer, Winton Way. They're still about the same price, about $3,500 a piece. The solar, all you do is put it in the ground and you're ready to go.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Okay. Now, the radar sign, is that the one that tells me the speed that I'm going in that area?
Yes.
Okay. That's what and like we have at Thomas Alida on Schaefer.
Yes, Thomas Alida, it's over on Grove and Winton Way.
Oh, yes. Yes,
And it's
you're
in Elmerwood on Bellevue. I
Did
didn't
you
know.
say that's $3,500?
$3,500 a piece.
Do we have any, Councilman Jeff Rivero?
And the money that we'd be paying for these would not come out of the general fund, but it would be through the gas tax and another safety grant, or where would it come from?
Yeah, I think we could take it out of the gas tax.
And the city attorney, since we've had 4 to 5 accidents at Winton Way and Fay, is it possible to add that to this verbal report? Can we take action on it or no?
There's no action that's called for on the agenda, so we cannot take action on any items right now because this would not qualify as one of the emergency measures, but that is something that you can ask for a future agenda.
So these two are not emergencies, so I can ask to have it placed on our next...
On the next agenda.
Yes.
Next agenda, along with Fay and Winton Way.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, let me go back to Councilman Mooneyham.
Question for the city manager, how are those going to be placed on the agenda? Is it, will staff make a recommendation, or is it for discussion and possible action?
It'll be discussion and possible action.
Thank you.
Let me ask you a question on, since you did put Fay on there, are you interested with Fay that be a lighted crosswalk and the signs going around, or just the sign that tells you that the speed?
No, on Fay and Winton Way, it would be a lit crosswalk with the flashing signs. And then I'd like to see one at the Landmark and also St. Anthony's, because hypothetically speaking, if somebody we've had 5 accidents in Fay and Winton Way, and if something wasn't done and somebody got killed and hypothetically they sued us for $1 million, we'd be able to put crosswalks, put a lit crosswalk at 50,000 crosswalks for the price of that one lawsuit. So my idea is to be proactive so that there isn't a lawsuit or a death or an injury. And we not only save the city, but we use gas tax, so that way it's not coming out of our general fund that
Okay,
is
excuse
strained.
me, but with Santa Fe, with St. Anthony's, we already have a signal there. So I wouldn't think that we would put anything there because we have a signal already there. We have an actual signal.
There's, if I may,
Go right ahead.
in between, that would be Bellevue and the signal there at Juniper, it's quite a stretch. It's about a mile stretch. And the speed is actually coming from, if you were turning left off of Bellevue, going towards St. Anthony's, where most of the speed is. And if that green light in front of St. Anthony's, if that light was green, you're talking about people could be in the excess of 50 miles an hour easily turning left there from Bellevue on. So the flashing speed sign would indicate, most people are like myself, when you're driving past one of those speed signs and it flashes, none of us people that are following the law mean to speed in front of a school. So it's just a friendly reminder to tell people to slow down. It's done it to me multiple times, and I'm sure most people have seen their speeds a little bit faster than what's required in front of a school zone. So I think with the opportunity for people to pick up speed in front of St. Anthony's, and that being one of our schools, and then from what I understand, we met with the superintendent of Atwater City Schools.
I'm sorry, excuse me, Mr. Bergman's been patient over here. Yes, Councilman Bergman.
Well, it was asked to be put on the agenda, yet you've gone into discussion. I ask that we put this off and you hold this discussion when it's an agenda item and move on with our current agenda.
Okay, what's the ruling of the?
It's fine.
Yeah, so I think what we need to do is just put all of the items that we're talking about, all of the future signs, future lit crosswalks, all of that on another agenda. The only thing that he's doing here today that Mr. Shaw is doing is giving a verbal report on those couple radar signs, and I think you've done that, right?
Yep.
Is there any other questions, I think, is all we have left for Mr. Shaw? Otherwise, I think we move on.
Right, okay. So we'll have this on the next agenda, which would be on the 13th, and it would be an action item. Okay, item number 11, Mr. Gus, Community Development Director McBride, the abandonment of Guzman Street. Never knew it ever started.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. In your packet, you have some various exhibits, and you have a letter that was prepared and submitted on behalf of the property owner. It was prepared by Mr. Dwayne Andrews with Golden Valley Engineering. Mr. Andrews is here tonight, sitting right over here. And what they basically have requested of the city is for you to consider abandonment of Guzman Street. Basically, this road is not improved. It's not used by the public for any purpose at all. It sits right here. It's in between a home here on this location. This is a commercial lot. And then over in this area here, you would have an entrance to the motel, and you have the gas station. If any of you have been on Sycamore Avenue this week, you'd see that the gas station no longer exists. It is demolished. It is gone. The property owner is fielding interest from development that might occur on the site. They think the abandonment of the road, which is about 40 feet, would add to the value and make it more usable. So with that in mind, they've started the process. This is here tonight for you to give us direction if you want to consider it or not. If you want to take it forward, we have to prepare a public hearing, we have to agendize it for specific resolution, some findings. This is the start of the process, and if you want to take it forward, we'd be happy to do that. If you have no interest, then we stop here and we don't do any more work on it. Mayor, I'd be more than happy to answer questions. Mr. Andrews might have
Do we have any questions of Mr.
some help too.
McBride? Councilman Bergman?
Yeah, Scott, does the city currently put any money annually into any improvements or the street at all?
There's nothing on it.
There's nothing there. It's just
You-
it's just on a map.
You would not know it's even a street, and there's no public utilities in it either.
Mayor Pro Tem Mooneyham.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm struggling, Scott, with a little bit with the language, but I would like to direct staff to move forward with the abandonment of the street.
Okay, do I have a second on that?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Bergman. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to come forward and speak on this matter? Seeing none, any further, we have a, pardon me, we have a motion on the floor, we have a second. Do we have any further discussion? Call for the question.
Bergman?
Yes.
Jeff Rivero?
Yes.
Mooneyham?
Yes.
Fall?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All I want to say is thank you, Scott, and thank you to all, and Mr. Peretta and everyone, and thank you, Mr. Andrews, for coming tonight, but thank you for getting the Sycamore Service Station demolished. It's a wonderful day. I think it took us 12 years, but we made it. Thank you. That's always, you have to be persistent, and thank you. Next item on the agenda is a verbal review of the Community Development Department. Mr. McBride.
Thank you again, Mayor and council members. I recognize it's getting late in the meeting, so I'm going to be brief tonight. We just want to provide an overview for you to kind of give you an update on where we are on some specific items, information to the public as well. And last time I did this, I think, was the end of May, so it's time to get back to you and share some information with you. You're familiar with the way the department's organized. We have the building division, engineering, planning. We also do economic development, grants, and a few other things, so you're very familiar with that. And this has not been a department set up this way for very long. It was done in 2013, 14. We did that kind of out of necessity, and it's working out pretty well. Just kind of an overview, we have several fewer people in the department than we used to. We have a couple positions that were full-time that are now part-time, and we've basically gone away from having an in-house city engineer to having a contract engineer, and I'll talk a little bit about some of the activities we've asked them to work on later in the presentation. When I gave you this presentation before, we talked about how dismal things were over a period of time from 2008 to 13. We had very little new residential construction going on, and I'm going to get to where we are today, and you're going to see a dramatic improvement. But it isn't too far back to realize that in 2013, we had the new AutoZone that was approved. We did a new Shell building out off of Applegate Road. We did some other things that were important to kind of set the path going forward with regard to our design guidelines and everything else. We also started to work on CMAQ grants, which we've been very successful. We'll have a list of those coming up for you as well. In 13-14, we built on our momentum. We worked on the veterinary clinic that's now open. There was a remodel of In-Shape City. Just one thing to point out on the veterinary clinic, that could not have been built without the support of the commission and yourself to amend the code to allow it to work in the city. It was not allowed the way the code was set up before. We started processing plan development amendments to allow new development to come into the existing neighborhood so they would fit in and be able to go forward. We started working on planning for the future Ferrari Ranch. Wanted to start with the building division. This is where we were through the end of the 13-14 year. 420 permits total issued, 814 inspections done. I can tell you that's a lot every day for one person to do. Kind of get a sense here of where that is. You had 429 in 2010, it dipped down, and we're back now to about where we were 4 years ago. So we've been very busy. Also 229 business license inspections. Keep in mind, Mark Pareda goes out to do business license inspection when it's a new business. So if you have a change of ownership or new location or a new business, he does it. He doesn't go back on an annual basis. So there's only a few criteria when he goes out. So those are in addition to his other inspections that he does. For the 14-15 year, we wanted to kind of let you know that we are ahead of where we were last year. Last year through this time, we had 97 permits issued. We're at 111 this year. Revenue-wise, $54,000 versus $13,000. So we're ahead of where we were last year, and we're happy to report that to you. Some specifics on housing development. We have the new master plans approved for Meadowview Estates. That's off of Buhack Road. We've now issued 7 new permits. We have another master plan that they've just submitted that they want us to review to take forward. Atwater, South Claremont Reserve, we've issued 21 new permits. They have been working diligently on floodplain issues so they can buy the remainder of the subdivision out. They could build another 60 or so units. I'm not sure how many, but it's quite a few more that they have rights to now that they've gotten that taken care of. Also in Jacobs Ranch, we've had 4 master plans submitted that we've reviewed and they're ready to go. Mary, you look like you have a question.
It's Blossom Hill, or Blossom Valley. Now, which one?
That would be this one.
Okay,
Although that's the name that they're calling it, it's still in the Claremont Reserve Atwater South.
Okay,
map.
that's what I wanted to make sure, because that one is, they're going and it's beautiful, so I appreciate, so thank you for.
So obviously activity is going on right now.
Absolutely, thank you.
With regard to commercial permits, I know there's a lot of questions about what's happening, what's going on, what's coming in, what's not here. Happy to report that we're working on Boot Barn. We're likely to have the tenant improvements done by the end of October. That's next to the Dollar Tree on the other side of the freeway. We have plans in for a GNC. They sell nutritional products. It's going to be another tenant improvement. Obviously, the Pizza Factory is now open. Togo's is now open. Verizon Wireless has been open for a little bit. The gas station is down at 1619 Sycamore. The plans are in for the new one with the convenience store to go forward. And then I'm happy to report today, it's not on the list because it just came in today.
Mayor Pro Tem Mooneyham? Pardon me.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was happy to report that today we did receive tenant improvement plans for a new location called WWS Shoes, and that's going to be located at a shop building at the Atwater Marketplace Center. They're going to take over the entire building that used to have Pizza Patron, the cleaners business, a couple other things in it. And so that's new that came in since I did this for you last week. So there's daily activity. Was there a question?
Yes.
Just curious, the location of the GNC, Scott?
It's going to be in the Applegate Ranch Shopping Center.
Do they know where?
Oh, yeah, no, they have submitted plans to go forward. I don't know the exact address, but I believe it's close to Payless Shoes. Yeah. Some other permits that we've worked on, the Fruitland Church for the classroom facilities, we've worked on their expansion. We have 2 actual plans for Kingdom Hall, Jehovah's Witnesses. That's off Sunset. There's actually 2 identical facilities. Obviously, continue to work on 699 Broadway with the conversion of the creamery for the church. The other thing I wanted to point out too, it's taken, obviously it's a big project for us, is the city solar project. We're currently waiting on the building plan so we can start the plan check process. With regard to our economic development component, we wanted to list for you some of the upcoming CMAQ grants that we have. Tonight you took action on the one for Eileen Colburn, Mitchell, so we have that on the list. In addition to that, we're working on pedestrian improvements for Juniper Avenue. That's a sidewalk and bicycle path. We're going to be working on the engineering first. That's the first part of the process. On Buhack Road, we have funding for the engineering for the pedestrian improvements on the east side so we can get from Avenue 1 to the school safely. And then down the road, we're going to start the engineering fairly soon, but we have funds set aside for traffic synchronization. That will handle all the signals from Bell, actually from the freeway exit where Pan Express is, to Bell Lane, Applegate, Sycamore, Atwater Boulevard, and a new one at Olive Avenue. So we're happy to report that we're making progress on that as well. Okay, in addition to those CMAQ grants, we've also been able to leverage for replacement of equipment. These are all the ones we have coming up. These are all 100% grant funded. The reason for that is it's for air quality purposes. Sorry they don't cover backcon trucks. We tried that.
Yeah.
Just a couple points about all these projects here and here. Keep in mind that these all require our staff to develop specifications. We have to advertise them. We have to go through the process. We have to award them. We have to prepare items to come to your council meetings. So I know the grants are funded, and that's fantastic. It's still a lot of time and effort on behalf of our staff, especially in engineering, which is one half-time person to do all this work. Some other things that we wanted to report back on is we've received funding for a variety of public safety support items here, and Lori Waterman's very active in these, and she's got some other things that she wanted to point out, that we've got some other things here down the road that will have been submitted that we don't know the status of yet. Earlier tonight, you had a great presentation from the county on what we're doing with them, and so I don't need to go into this, just to let you know that we're supporting them and getting our share of what we need to have done. But we are responding to leads as they come through, and it's working well for us. In the engineering division, we completed the Prop 1B project on Bellevue Road. You know those improvements are in. As we pointed earlier, all the CMAQ awards that we have coming up. We are working on the plans and specifications for Atwater Boulevard, Applegate Road, and Winton Way. You're probably going to be seeing those in November. Concurrently, we're working on the improvements for Broadway Avenue, pedestrian improvements and safety. We also have to review civil plans for development projects. We have ongoing encroachment permits, you know, all the water line breaks, utilities, everything else, we have to go and inspect them. And we also put on the list here that to get on the process for the CMAQ awards, we have to do some contracting out of the specific design components. We have to do RFQs for that work. So it's quite a process. Just some other things too we're doing in engineering. We're assisting Public Works on the Well 20 repairs, assisting on the annual transportation exchange program, and we assist Public Works with regard to the annual maintenance district levy. I did include some things here that I know have come up tonight that I wanted to let you know that we've tasked our city engineer, the contract, to look at and give us estimates for the work to prepare the design and engineering. The Schaefer Road collapse would be one. Fay and Winton Way lighted crosswalk. There's actually a need to have 3 ramps there. It won't work the way it is today. You have a drop off from Fay on to Winton Way. So it's a little bit more involved than just signage. We've also talked about trying to leverage some of the remaining funds that we have for improvements in the gas tax fund to start working on portions of Olive Avenue. We know we can't do all of it, but can we do a few road cross sections from one point to another point to try to get it back to where it's usable. Just one thing I'd point out on the project that was up here earlier for the intersection at Atwater Boulevard, Winton Way, that will improve up to Olive Avenue, and so we'd basically be looking north of that. In the planning division, continue to be active. You know, we always have use permits, plans that come in. We've done a lot of amendments to the code that have come up as a result of issues and things that we need to be looking at. Some of the new projects we obviously have processed the site plan for the Sycamore gas station, the site plans for the solar project that have come forward, Fruitland Church we've done, the Senegal annexation has gone forward to LAFCO, it's been approved by them. We're going to be working with the development team now on their plans to take it to the entitlement phase. We also have the subdivision map and zone change that's actually going to the Planning Commission this Wednesday for the Buhack and Juniper Avenue Road, and I'll be coming to you at a later time. And continue to work weekly on the housing elements, so there's a lot of activity that we have going on here. I wanted to kind of give the council some specific information about Ferrari Ranch and where we are. And so just to keep it in context, the landowner is paying for our cost to do the work on it. They're reimbursing for staff time. They're paying for consulting services and legal services. We have EMC Planning Group working on the EIR. We've developed for you a schedule with them that's kind of outlined here as to what some of the major milestones are in that process and when the timelines are going to be. And so we're right here at a very important one. That's the notice of publication, the NOP, notice of preparation, I'm sorry. And we're looking at issuing that at the end of this month. And it kind of gives you an overview of where we're going to go. We're about a year away from having the EIR certified from the city. And there's other things that go on concurrent with that, but that gives you a time frame of where we're working. And that lines up fairly close to when the interchange is going to be finished.
Any questions of Mr. McBride?
Just some quick notes on the successor agency. We've taken all the steps we have to comply with the law, the property plans, everything else that's required. You just approved the ROPS recently. It went to the Oversight Board. That's a twice-a-year process that we have. The next ROPS is due the 3rd of October. We're going to submit it tomorrow. And then the next one for 15-16, which is your funding for July 1-15, will be in March. So we have that to look forward to as well. We do continue to have work on affordable housing. Primarily the biggest issue we have is without a housing element, we're not eligible for all these different funding programs. And so we need this to be done for the Ferrari Ranch. It also helps this aspect of what we do as well. And I wanted to thank the council, the public for the time tonight. I know it's late in the evening. I wanted to get through this quickly, but I thought it was important to share the information about where we are progress-wise in some important projects, and then answer any questions that the council may have, or the public for that matter.
Any questions for the council? Okay, well, on behalf of the council and the citizens, we want to thank you very much for all of your efforts. So do we have, Mr. Lee, did you have a question on this presentation?
Yes, I did. Eric Lee. Scott, there's been a lot of rumors going around about the loss of Les Schwab tires, and I just wanted to know if you could shed some light on that for both the council and the public tonight to clear those up a little bit.
Yep. I think the council might be aware we did receive applications probably in December of 2011 for Les Schwab tires to go on a location on Applegate Road. I was not involved with community development at that point. I had my own department here at City Hall. It's a separate division. We had a contract planner that was working on the project. She was the lead on the project, handling the entire project for the city. I was involved early on with some site evaluation. We gave them 4 or 5 different locations to look at. That was one of the ones that they wanted to look at. Then I wasn't involved with the process for quite a while. And then at the end of March or April of 2012, I became the acting director. I got back into the department. And at that point, the company decided they were not going to proceed with the project. There were issues they had with a variety of different things. It probably needed 8 or 9 different entitlements from the city. Pretty much needed everything that we have on the books to go forward. It had issues with undergrounding utilities, issues with MID, and some of the negotiations with the property owner fell down during the process, and so they chose not to proceed with that location. We did suggest to them at that same time to look at an alternative site. I don't know that the public or the council knows this, but we had Firestone Tires looking to go in the Applegate Ranch Shopping Center. They had submitted preliminary plans. We're taking the progress to go forward with that. And they had decided at the same time period they weren't going to go forward, and we offered that option to Les Schwab as another alternative, and they chose at the time not to go forward. I stayed in contact with Carrie Marsala, the real estate manager for the local office that works for them, as well as Mr. Oxman. He's the real estate officer for Les Schwab, and they continue to come through the city. I know they've been here within the last couple of months looking at sites, and I'm optimistic that they're going to find one that's going to work for them. But unfortunately, like I said on that one, I was involved early and at the end, but in the middle when it came through for the processing, I wasn't involved. I know from December through about April, time elapsed and nothing went forward.
But they're always welcome to come, and we're always welcome them with open hands and open arms. Thank you. Okay, with that, we'll move on to our next agenda item, and that is council comments and requests for future agenda items, and we're going to start with Jeff Rivero. Councilman Jeff Rivero.
Just wanted to remind everybody that audit and finance will be moved to the second Monday. Thank you.
Okay. And we'll go with Mayor Pro Tem Craig Mooneyham.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to commend the Atwater FFA for putting on their annual Tri-Tip Barbecue fundraiser. They did a wonderful job. I know Sam Meredith put a lot of work out there as well as others involved. Again, the largest FFA chapter in the state of California, something that should probably be on our website too. That's something to take pride in. So I'd like to commend all who were involved. Thank you.
Councilman Larry Bergman.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to let the public know Early this morning, we had a structure fire just 5 doors down from my house, and the fire was burning pretty good when the fire department got there, and I just wanted to commend the fire department for the rapid stop. They were able to hold the fire to the garage without it extending into the structure, and the fire was rolling out pretty good when they arrived on scene. And Chief Pimentel, I'd just like you to pass our appreciation to your personnel for the excellent job they did. And Mr. City Manager, if you could put your fire chief or your police chief hat on for a minute. Prior to the fire department arriving, 2 of our fine officers, Officer Vieira, who was mentioned earlier, and Officer Haywood were the first on scene. Officer Vieira, not having any safety gear, made sure that the house was vacant, and he also forced entry into the neighboring house that was charged full of smoke due to an open window. And he made his way through that smoke to make sure that that house was vacant, because I believe he had heard that there were occupants inside. To me, that's excellent work. That's above and beyond what our police officers are expected to do. And just so the public knows, that's the kind of dedication we have in both our police department and our fire department. And Chief, I'd like you to offer my commendations to those officers and let them know I really appreciate what they do.
I will. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And one other thing, as most of you know, the Merced County Association of Realtors has teamed up with Merced Sunstar to hold debates for the different candidates throughout the area. And recently they had a candidates day for the District 3 supervisors. And I'd just like to let the folks know that the Sunstar website will have that debate available tomorrow afternoon, as well as Comcast Channel 95 on Thursday. So if you're interested in hearing the District 3 supervisor debate, those are 2 options for you. So with that, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Bergman. With that, moving on to my list of items. First of all, September 26th is the Atwater High School homecoming, and it's also our 100th birthday party for the Bloss home. So please, if you can come out to those 2, the parade starts at 3:30 in front of Froster Freeze, and the birthday party starts at 6 o'clock at Bloss home. The next item that we have is on October 11th. We have the Atwater Cleanup Day, and that's when those citizens in the city, residents of the city of Atwater, if you have objects that can't be fit into your toter, we take them to at the Public Works Department from 7 to 2. You cannot have paint or oil or batteries, but everything else. We have an e-waste place. We have tires, but you can only bring 9 at a time. And it's going to be from 7 to 2. So please, seniors, if you cannot, and you have large items and you cannot bring them, we have the police cadets, volunteers, will come and pick them up from you. If you just give us a call, it's 357-6370, and make your appointment. With that, we have the Fall Festival, which is also October 11th and 12th. October 11th and 12th in the Foster and Ralston Park. And I said that November 11th is our Veterans Day. We have a service at 4 o'clock at Veterans Park. And remember the BRIC program. If you want to recognize an active service person or a person who has done military service, or a person who's lost their life, we have a BRIC program that we recognize those people. So please give us a call at 357-6205, and we'll tell you more about the BRIC program. But it's a way to remember those persons who've given their service to the United States and to our freedom. And with that, meeting is adjourned.